first of all, I would just like to acknowledge that for some of you, even showing up today was a really big first step. And you've taken that first step, and I can assure you that you are in a safe and supportive place here that is completely judgment-free, and you are surrounded by others who are navigating similar challenges. And while every situation is unique, there are common threads that connect us all. We have had over 300 people register. It was 305 as of 9 o'clock this morning, which absolutely blows my mind. I'm so grateful for your trust in me. This is the third time I've ran this webinar, and the fact that more and more people are joining us each time is both incredible and heartbreaking. Incredible because it means so many people are seeking my support, but it's heartbreaking knowing that so many of you are going through what could be one of the toughest experiences of your life. And that's exactly why I'm here. There also seems to be a common trend, I realised, as to when people register for this webinar. So as in the time that with the registrations come through. So in the chat, I'd be curious to know when you think I receive the most registrations for the webinar. So for example, is it in the morning? So kind of like, 6 to 12 o'clock. Is it around lunchtime? So that 12 to 2 time. Is it the afternoon? So do you think it's around 2 to 5 in the afternoon? Is it nighttime? So around 6 to 11 of a nighttime? Or do you think it's around kind of that midnight to 6 a.m. in the morning? Does anyone want to have a guess at the time that most registrations are coming in? Yeah, Jody. Yeah, Sandy, you're up there as well. So obviously we see the registrations coming through, but I don't actually look at the times that they're coming through, because sometimes they come through in a bulk. It's between 2 to 3 in the morning that, just lost it, that the registrations are coming through. So that means there's many of you laying awake at night, or you're waking up worrying about your separation. And I want to change that. I don't want you waking up in a panic at 2 or 3 o'clock. I've been there. Sometimes I still go there because something's popped in my head from the day, and, waking up at 2 or 3 o'clock in a panic attack. So I completely get it. But yeah, I really don't. I want you to have that sleep. I don't want you waking up at 2 or 3 o'clock stressing about your family law matter, which is easier said than done. But I have done my best to make this session clear and manageable without overwhelming you with too much information. There's so much I want to share, and it's been tough to keep trimming this down, but I'll do my best to keep things engaging, and we will see how we go. The past couple of webinars have gone close to 2 hours, and that's mainly with Q&A at the end. So I've had to be very mindful, like watching a 2-hour legal webinar is pretty full on. So I'm very mindful of time, so I'll try not to go that long today. I just want to have a quick disclaimer. This is general advice only. Yes, I'm a lawyer. I'm not acting in a legal capacity today, though. It would be impossible for me to provide legal advice without knowing the full situation, and we clearly don't have time to do that for the webinar. So what I do want to say, though, this is a safe and confidential place. Anything shared here, including names you might see, stays within this webinar. I hope that we can respect each other's privacy and trust, and what happens in the webinar stays in the webinar. And we've never had a drama before, so I'm sure we're not going to. But typical legal disclaimer, I just want to make sure we are all on the same page. So I want to share something with you that law school never taught me. And honestly, it didn't even occur to me until I started practicing law in 2010. I was in legal practices before that, but I was admitted as a lawyer in 2010. And to be completely honest, it's still something that's not taught at uni, because I have grad students and students who are at uni telling me that this stuff is not taught. And that's really empathy in legal matters. So it's not just for the clients, but it's for us as legal professionals as well. And when you're going through a separation, and really, if you're going through anything, but today is obviously about separation, you're not just dealing with that legal process. You're dealing with your entire life possibly being turned upside down. And with that comes really big emotions. So one moment you might be feeling relieved, and then you're devastated, then you're ashamed, then you're angry, and then you feel guilty. And sometimes that's before you've had breakfast in the morning. So here's what most lawyers won't tell you. That emotional roller coaster, it's normal. Every single feeling that you are experiencing is completely valid. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And another thing that a lawyer is not going to tell you, probably won't tell you, is your separation does not define you. And I learnt this the hard way, and probably the long way, when I'm sitting across from clients who are doctors, they're business owners, they're teachers, they're stay-at-home parents. It's men, it's women, it's trans, it's non-binary, just human beings in general. And time again, I just saw the same thing. People feeling like they had failed just because their relationship was ending, and they kept saying that they're broken. You're not broken. You're not broken, and you're going through a rough patch, but if you consider yourself broken, then let's fix you back up and get you on the other side of your separation so you can start that next chapter. But let me make it clear again, it doesn't make you a failure, and there's nothing to be ashamed about. And that's why we do something a little bit different compared to a standard legal practice. We move at your emotional pace, not the legal pace, because I've seen what happens when lawyers rush people through the process before they're emotionally ready. It's not just stressful, it can lead to decisions you can regret, or worse, decisions that you can't undo. And right now, you're not just looking for a lawyer, you are probably looking for someone who understands that it just isn't another legal matter. This is your life. And that's exactly why I'm here today. Okay, so this is me. I'm a mum. I am obviously a lawyer. I am a RTT and clinical hypnotherapist. I am a mindfulness instructor. I have two beautiful daughters who started school today after being off for 2 months. So that was exciting to see them off. And also have two very cheeky Frenchies. I am a Lakers fan. I am a Broncos fan. And yes, I'm one of those people who barracks for Queensland in the state of origin, even though I was born in New South Wales. Very controversial. And it's an issue every time the state of origin comes around. But done that since high school, so I'm not changing. I own two legal practices. One is called Aqua Legal and Conveyancing, which is based in New South Wales. I own a Queensland legal practice, which is All Star Conveyancing. And last year, I also started a mortgage broking business called Confetti Finance. And of course, I've got my personal brand, which is how you have found me today. And I'll be the first to admit I love doing all the things. But at the heart of it, I really am deeply passionate about helping people go through whatever stage of life they are in, and weaving together the legal and the emotional aspect of it, because I truly believe both matters. And that's why we are all here today. And I have been in your shoes. If separation wasn't easy for me, even with my legal background, I cannot begin to imagine how overwhelming it must be feeling for so many of you. I mean, we have 305 people registered. So, I think you're all going through a lot of things at the moment. And being on the other side of it really did give me a whole new perspective on what separation is really like. I thought I understood it from a client's point of view. I honestly really did, but I don't think I did fully until I went through it myself. And these are some photos of me starting over after 20 years of living comfortably. So I had the stress of finding a rental, and I haven't rented in over 20 years. The stress of figuring out finances, me naively thinking that IKEA was going to be the way to go, only to find myself collapsed on the floors in tears because I couldn't put it all together. And I was too proud to ask for help. My girls and I sat on the floor because we didn't have a lounge for months. We slept on mattresses because our beds took forever to arrive. And yes, of course, they were also from IKEA, Swiss wonder. The photo of me with the pizza, that was my first night alone in the new place. And I was sitting, I think in that place I was actually standing, but sitting was involved at some point. And I was honestly wondering what the fuck I'd done. The photo of the garbage bags and soap beads, that was from a friend of my daughter's who lives around the corner. I didn't even have washing liquid. I didn't have garbage bags, just things that just weren't at the top of my mind at the time. And they had come around to help me with the washing machine. I did meet these people a couple of times. They're lovely. And after they left, they quietly came back and left those essentials on my doorstep. I honestly felt like I was completely useless, like I'd failed myself, that I'd failed my girls, that I should just go and suck it back up because that would make my girls happy and make the situation, I don't know whether easier is the right word, but to go back to what was familiar. But since then, there have been happy moments, sad moments, and moments that I am pretty damn proud of. So it may sound simple, but I learned how to use a lawnmower. I'd kind of used it before, but I didn't have to mow the lawn. So taught myself how to use a lawnmower, figured out why my oven wasn't working. It was a switch in the beta box that I had to go and turn on. I dealt with gas issues, and I don't mean my gas issues. I mean my gas stove and hot water issues, wondering why that wasn't working. I was fortunate enough to move into a brand new house, so everything was brand new. Nothing was turned on. I found a flat pack guy who literally saved my ass and did more than he had to. If you're in the Hunter Valley, I'm more than happy to hook you up with him. He is just amazing. I think he was here like weekly for like a month or two at one stage, putting all my crap together. I've dealt with asshole delivery people who would just dump furniture and leave me to figure out what to do with it. Sometimes it was left outside in the rain, even though they're meant to be coming in and helping me put it to where it's meant to go. And yep, me and my girls went living comfortably to sitting and sleeping on the floor for months. And it felt like a massive step backwards. And you know what? It fucking sucked. It really did. And at times, sometimes it still does, but I can assure you it's getting much better. And I knew that going back to what was familiar wasn't going to help me. And I knew that because it hadn't helped in the past. It wasn't going to work again. And through all of this, I have had some pretty badass, heck yeah, Stacy moments where I've had to step up, and I was more independent than I ever thought I could be. I'm a pretty independent person, but there's obviously things I never had to worry about before, and now I had to, like the oven, like the shower was leaking even when I first moved in. So just things like that I didn't have to worry about before. And what my next goal is I have to work out how to use a whippersnipper, which again probably sounds very simple to some people. But my lawn is nice and short, but I definitely need a whippersnipper. So I will be probably Googling how to use a whippersnipper. So my lawn looks beautiful. So here are my qualifications. I have a feeling I've probably missed some, but you'll get a pretty good idea. So you can see in 2023, I spent time getting certified in these different areas. And you're probably wondering, already had a successful legal career, why are you doing this? And after years of practicing law, something did keep me awake at night, I would wake up at that 2-3 o'clock mark. And while I could handle the legal paperwork perfectly, and my team could, I knew that my clients needed something more. And I knew that they needed someone who understood that separation isn't just about dividing the assets. It's about navigating one of life's most emotional and challenging journeys. And it just wasn't meshing with my values. Plus, I'd lost clients to suicide, and that ate me up inside. I don't think it's something you ever get over. So that wasn't a good time. And having said that, we have clients who we're concerned about that. We'll always keep checking in to make sure that they're getting the help that they need as well. So that hasn't stopped. But if you do have a look at those two circles, you'll see that there's like a traditional law circle, and there's a more holistic side. And it's probably safe to say that most lawyers are in that right circle. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's their choice. They're excellent at that legal process, but chances are they're probably not equipped to support you through the emotional complexity of a separation. So I became a collaborative family law coach. I got certified as a mindfulness instructor, and I've also trained and currently training as a clinical hypnotherapist and transformational therapist under Marissa Peer. And to me, these aren't just certificates on the wall. They're tools that help me support you as a person and not just another matter number. And I can handle the legal side. I've been admitted to the High Court and the Supreme Court. But what makes my approach different is that I bridge the two worlds and understand that both the legal system and the emotional journey that you are on. And when you work with me, you're not just getting a lawyer with 15 years plus experience. You are getting someone who has deliberately chosen to understand and support both your legal and emotional needs during this challenging time. This is why I move at your pace. And we understand when you need to pause and process, and why our clients constantly tell us that they feel truly supported through their entire journey and not just through the legal side. So I say this in every webinar because it is true, but each of these topics could easily have an entire webinar of their own. But I keep refining what I share, both across here and my social media, my podcast, and through my weekly emails, so you can get the most helpful information in a way that is clear and that is also practical. And I promise to give you amazing tips without being too lawyery. No overwhelming legal jargon, just real useful advice to hopefully help you move forward. So the first thing I want you to know, because I think this is one of the most important things, and so many people going through a separation feel like they've failed. And I know that because I thought I did too. And honestly, that really does break my heart. Most of us don't go into a relationship expecting it to end. But around 30% of marriages in Australia end in divorce. And that doesn't even include de facto couples, so which means that the real number is likely much higher. And if you have children with additional needs, the separation rate jumps to 90%. So really the odds are stacked against you from the beginning, which definitely need to change. And it doesn't matter what side of the separation you are on, whether you ended the relationship or ended for you, there will be emotions, and they will probably be big emotions, and that's normal. You're allowed to feel whatever it is that you feel. But please do not believe for a single second that you are a failure because you are here. I know it might be early days for some of you, and it might be hard to see this, but this is the start of a new chapter, one that you get to write. And it might take a few pages before you see the light, but it is coming. So right now, I want you to do something for yourself. You can either type it into the chat, you can just say it out loud to yourself, Close your eyes and really feel it, or you could do all three. And I want you to really define your worth, because you probably haven't done it either at all or for a very long time because you keep putting yourself last. So it could be, I'm worthy of love. It could be, I'm worthy of a happy and healthy relationship. I am worthy of respect. It could be, I'm worthy of being appreciated. And for me, the appreciation one is a big one. It's free to say thank you. So that one's probably the one that I most resonate with. And the chances are, whatever comes to your mind is probably the value that is most important to you. And what I want you to do is hold on to that. I want you to remember it on the tough days. Have a note in your bag or your wallet. I have notifications that come up on my phone for a reminder. So you can maybe do that a few times per day. But just remind yourself when doubt does creep in, because you are worthy exactly how you are. And quickly, something that broke my heart yesterday when we were preparing for the webinar, it was somebody commented that they just wanted to have a big heart attack and to escape it. And when I saw that, I was just like, oh my gosh, that just even more for me cemented the fact that empowered separation is needed. So I can see the chat going off. Let me have a look. Hi, Tess. I'm worthy of my it's Friday. I'm worthy of my happily ever after and to be treated with kindness. I absolutely love that. The sense of failure comes from the continuous comments from former partner extending over years. Yep, I get that. There is a great book at the moment, or you can listen to her podcast or follow her on social media. Her name is Mel Robbins, and you may know her. And her latest book is Let Them. It is probably the quickest book I've ever read in my whole entire life. And it kind of deals with that. So you can't control what somebody does, what somebody says. What you can do is change the way that you react to it. And again, I know this is all, sounds easy, and I appreciate that it's not, but we can't control what your ex is doing. Let's control how we react to it. So clearly it seems like your ex was probably pretty toxic. There could be narcissist traits in there as well. What you need to do is perhaps listen to Mel Robbins. She's absolutely wonderful, but the whole let them theory, it's over the internet everywhere. I would really suggest that you listen to her or grab her book, because there's obviously tools in empowered separation in my program as well, but Mel Robbins also explains this really well. So I think she would be a really good person to follow. I'm not defined by my marriage or my abusive husband. Absolutely not. I'm worthy of love, respect, loyalty, being heard. Absolutely, and honesty. I'm worthy to be happy and joyful in any relationship. 100%. That goes for friends as well, not just relationships, like personal, intimate relationships. I'm a good man and father and worthy of love. I didn't deserve to be cheated on and left in the shit. Look, maybe that's a blessing in disguise. I don't know your circumstances, Wayne. Maybe your ex has done you a favor. I'm not sure. I can appreciate that being cheated on would be incredibly difficult to deal with. I myself have not been in that situation. But again, yeah, you were worthy. You were definitely worthy of love. And if your ex didn't see that, then that's their problem. I'm worthy of a much better life. 100%. So just remember that, guys. There's obviously a lot of negativity, I suppose, which comes not only from separation, but just life in general. And, when you see that on a daily basis, and whether it's with clients or friends or whatnot, it's it's hard. And all you want to do is try and help people, and you try and give everything that you possibly can, which is why I've done and trying to do everything that I can. I honestly do suggest you get on the let them theory of it. This is just me saying it because she's amazing. If you don't listen to her on a podcast, follow her on socials. She's quite big on Instagram. She could be on Facebook. I'm not quite sure. But I would definitely recommend that, you follow Mel Robbins and read her Let Them book, because there are some great tips in there that might help you. So what I want to say next is be careful where you get your advice. So a heads up, if you're posting in the mum and bubs groups, or there could be dad and bubs groups, I'm not sure if the latter exists, but we are seeing a lot more men registering for the webinars. And so I just wanted to include everybody. Just be careful. So every separation is different, and a lot of your separation is going to depend on the team that you have around you, and also the type of personality of people. So if you're dealing with that narcissist, or you're dealing with a really toxic person, that's something that's going to have to be taken into account in your separation. But the problem is everybody has an opinion. How Dr. Google things, there's like a Dr. Law thing. And sometimes people who think they know the law end up giving completely wrong information, or they're giving information based on their own personal experience. And, that's not something that you can base what your experience is going to be on either. And the best advice that I can give is take what you need and get rid of the rest. So the way I resonate with this is I liken it to when I had my first child. It was really overwhelming. It was like, Stacy, you have to do this. Stacy, you have to do that. What I was getting was contradictory. My gut was saying, no, you're full of shit. I remember the first time that I came home from hospital, the first day I came home, I was trying to remember to do all the things, and midwives were like yelling at me all day, and I just burst into tears. So I was probably emotional because I just had a child, but everything on top of that as well kind of made me lose it. And I remember calling my auntie, who was a midwife, and she gave me the best piece of advice that I've ever received, and I still use it to this day. And it was, Stacy, do what your gut tells you. Take what you need, admit it if you need, get rid of the rest. And that was like a massive weight off my shoulders. And after that, I stopped caring about what everybody else thought, and I focused on what truly worked for me. Now, sometimes obviously have slip-ups and I let other people get in my head, but I've worked really hard on let them. If they think that let them. I used to want to try and appease everybody. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I don't want to work with everybody. So if they're going to say that, let them. They're not that true friend I thought they were. They're not the client that I want or that I thought they were. It's let them. And as I said, I still slip up. I'm not perfect, but I'm definitely a lot better than what I was. Picking the right emotional team is also really important, and be very selective to who you open up to. So separation can be lonely. People who you thought were close friends or close family members could take sides. They might spread rumours and give advice that actually doesn't help. It's like kind of being back in high school again, like with the sides and the rumour thing. It's just pathetic. So where can you turn to? There are options to see a counsellor, a therapist, or join a support group. So they're going to understand what you're going through, or they should be understanding what you're going through. A podcast or a book that resonates with you, as I said, highly recommend that you follow Mel Robbins. Just something to remind you that you are not alone, because I can guarantee that you aren't. Journaling is not something I do a lot. It's not quite my thing, but affirmations are. So I'll have notifications pop up on my computer or on my phone. In my diary, I'll write ones for each Monday. You can do simple self-care. So you can go for a walk. I went to go for a walk this morning, but it was raining, so I didn't get my walk in today. But you might have a bath, just have a moment to breathe. And my program covers all of this and more. But what I will say is just really be careful to who you talk to and what you say. So please avoid bad-mouthing your ex. It could be used against you. Don't discuss the legal process in front of your kids. It can create problems later. Be mindful of texts, emails, and social media posts. If it's written down, it can and likely will be used as evidence and it won't go in your favour. And just know that you're not alone. Find your people. I know that this process is isolating. It was for me, and that's exactly why I created the program, because having just one person can talk to can make all the difference. And that's what everybody in the Empowered Separation program is about. We're all in the same boat. And I shared something recently on my Instagram that really stuck with me. It was Simon Sinek, if you don't follow him, but it was about a person, so his friend actually, who had been struggling for months, possibly years. And as usual, life got in the way, and they felt like their friend didn't care. So she felt that Simon didn't care about their friendship or about her. In reality, time just gets away, and the friend had absolutely no idea that this person wasn't well. And he reached out and just like, hey, how you going? Hope you're well. It's been a while. And he wasn't expecting the response. And it was like, no, I'm not okay. I feel that, you don't value our friendship. I haven't heard from you, all of that stuff. Long story short, that conversation led them to coming up with a code. And if either of them had sent a text saying, do you have 8 minutes? That was a signal to say, I need help. I need to talk. I'm not okay. And I love that. I can appreciate that not everybody will probably like that, or you may struggle to find somebody who may appreciate that, something that you could do. But asking for help is often the most hardest thing. But if you have someone that you can trust, maybe this is something you can try. And that's why I've also put it into our monthly calls. It's like, hey, I'm here, doing my best to do all the things. How's everybody feeling? What can we do as a group? And if you feel that you can't share this with somebody close, you do have that option for a counsellor or a therapist. There could be online services ready there to support you as well. So I guess the final thought is that know that you don't have to do this alone. Please trust your gut, because it's not very often that it's wrong. Take what serves you and just let go of what doesn't. And you're not a failure. You are worthy of happiness. And I promise you that you will get through this. Consider what type of emotional support you also want. So not everybody is going to be the person that you need. So think of someone that could be in your life that could be that support person for you. So you might want to take a moment to write down now some names. It could be friends, family members. You might be a really close colleague. It might be a service you've used before, so like Lifeline or Beyond Blue or something. Someone local or someone, that's, that would be easier. But if you don't have that option, go for another service. But it's got to be someone that you know and trust who's going to help you get through this transition. So it might be someone who is really blunt and just tells you how it is. There is no sugarcoating. It's just straight up honesty. You might be after someone that's a little bit softer. So who might listen to you first, but then, slightly give you gentle nudges forward when you need it. You might want someone to come with you to your first few legal appointments, perhaps, as well. So there is no right or wrong here as to who you need as a support person. Everybody needs different kinds of support. The key is choosing someone who lifts you up and does not drag you down. So please either if you haven't thought about somebody now, take some time after the webinar to consider who you might be able to have as your support person. There could be the 8 minutes. So you might want to implement that and say, hey, this is a story as it is in my Instagram page, Simon Sinek. So he goes into it obviously more detail than what I just did. I just gave you the gist of it, but maybe that's something that you can implement as well. I personally think that's a great idea. So I just want to break down the separation process. I consider it to be in a few different stages just to make it less overwhelming. And just to confirm, I call it separation. I don't call it divorce because not everybody is married. So it's to cover both married and de facto couples. You can consider to work on your relationship. So, and that's one of the first questions to ask. Can we do something about this relationship to save it? Assuming there's no DV or anything like that involved. If you and your partner are both open to it, maybe work on your relationship is an option. A lot of relationships fail because of communication. So it could be a communication issue. It could be something simple as that. You may grow apart. You may be unfortunate and have had somebody cheat on you. I'm not saying this is suitable in all circumstances, but we have had clients get back together either halfway through the process. We've even had clients go through the whole separation process. So we have transferred properties and money and everything for them to go, hey, we got back together 6 months ago and we're too scared to tell you. So if that happens, please let your lawyer know so you save, legal fees and things getting transferred that didn't need to be transferred. But I would personally much rather see a relationship saved than go through that legal process. But again, the caveat is obviously if you are not in a safe position, your priority is safety, not trying to work in your relationship. If you're both willing to put the effort in and get the right support, consider maybe exploring this before you make any decisions about separating. Finding a supportive community. So, for example, like Empowered Separation, being surrounded by people who truly understand what you're going through can make all the difference. If you've got friends or family members that haven't been in this situation, they're probably not going to resonate with what you're feeling. There could be local support groups as well. I know there are some dad groups around the Hunter Valley. I would say there's probably also groups for females as well. That's where you can go and meet others in person. To be honest, I did my separation pretty well alone. I told my work colleagues. Looking back, if I had a community to pick me up when I was struggling, especially in those really tough moments, it would have been really comforting. So I'm pretty well saying, do as I say, not what I did, because I don't really recommend it. Getting the right legal support is also really important. So when you're ready to start that process, if you know separation is the way to go forward, make sure that's with the right lawyer. So if you're a part of our community, you'll be prepared for your family law matter. So that will save you a lot of time. It will save you a lot of money. It will save you a lot of stress because you're going to be prepared and educated. Being informed and educated means that you're going to be further ahead than most people. You're going to be going into your separation with clarity. You're going to know what questions to ask, and you're going to feel more in control because you kind of know what the process is and what's going to happen. You've also made sure that you found a lawyer that resonates with you as well. Sometimes we need to get a financial advisor or an accountant involved if we're dealing with complex structures and we've got tax and capital gains to work out. So we work with financial planners, your financial planner and accountant. If you don't have one, then we'll work with other people that we've worked with before to make sure that all that is taken into account in your settlement. If there's property and there's refinances involved, another reason why I started my mortgage broking business, because it was all relevant. A mortgage broker can help you figure out if you can afford to buy your ex out. So some people are like, yep, I want to buy the house, but there's no way that's going to happen because of servicing. So, or if you want to consider what you need to purchase a property after your separation, we can work numbers out as well. So if you need some advice on the mortgage side, my senior broker can run through numbers with you. So just reach out if you'd like that. Finding a good mediator. So if there are some things that can't be sorted between the lawyers or between yourself and your ex, a good mediator can be incredibly valuable. Some hesitate because of the cost, but when you compare it to what you'll spend on legal fees with going backwards and forwards, and the time as well, some mediations are usually a half day or a full day, it's often worth the cost. So you'll be saving money. You should be saving money. And a quicker resolution as long as you have the right mediator, because they're not created equal either. None of us are. Really just work with people who respect you and the process. someone that is going to support you, to make you feel comfortable. They respect how you want to resolve your separation, because it's a thing, and I'm going to make it a thing. I really want you to know that you can choose the type of separation process you want to have. And it's not all rainbows and unicorns. I'm not saying it's going to be happy every single day, but just being educated and knowing what to look for will make a big difference. So, not all lawyers are created equal. So you can have the good lawyer. I love Legally Blonde. I only want to do the first movie, not the second one. So you could be have a lawyer like Elle Woods, or you could go Lionel Hutz. So I'm sure he's got his benefits as well. But yeah, not all lawyers are created equal. So we're taught the old school law way, harsh, don't consider feelings, just get shit done and get it out the door. So not all lawyers are going to appreciate the emotional impact that it has on you and your family. There are also lawyers out there who will unnecessarily drag stuff out to milk settlement proceeds. There are lawyers who stir things up on purpose, and they're proud of stirring things up and causing drama. And that's not going to help you. It's just going to cost you more in legal fees. It will probably fire you up, and it will set the tone for how your matter is going to go. Some lawyers won't pick up the phone to have a conversation, but they'll send a big 5-page letter full of unnecessary rubbish just to provoke a reaction, then use that reaction against you. Definitely have had that happen. So something to think about is just really work out what type of family law experience do you want to have. And I'd honestly even be getting down to visualizing it. What's a process going to look like? And as I said, it's not going to be rainbows and unicorns, but do you want a lawyer that listens to you? Do you want someone that's going to present different options instead of just forcing you down the court path? Do you want a lawyer who's going to pick up the phone instead of escalating things unnecessarily and going, hey, got your letter, can we have a chat? Do you want someone who's going to prioritize early intervention strategies to minimize that conflict and reduce costs? So collaborative coaching, like mediation. If you were looking to be vindictive or use your kids as pawns, you need to stop watching now. This webinar is not for you, and I'm not for you either. I think that there's absolutely no need to go down that path. There are definitely lawyers out there who practice that way though, but that's not us. If you want to be heard and supported and guided towards a resolution that helps you move forward, trust your gut when choosing your legal team or your team in general. If something feels off, well, it's probably a reason. So go with your gut. Big believer in gut feelings. I use this every single day, and my team use it as well. So, for example, when we get a new client inquiry, our gut is pretty spot on telling us whether we're a good fit for that client or not. If our gut says no, if we go against our gut and we say yes, it always ends in disaster. So the gut's pretty good. Then they call it the second brain. So it tells you a lot. And the same applies to you. If your gut is saying no to something, have a break and go, why is my gut saying no? Maybe it's a red flag. Maybe it's not aligned with your values and what you truly want. Maybe you need a little bit more clarity before you move forward. But trust yourself. Trust yourself. Really go by your gut feeling. Right. So trying to reduce overwhelm in your family law matter. Every lawyer works differently. There's kind of a similar way, but each lawyer does have a different approach. So the way that we do is we listen to you so you feel heard. So we don't talk at you. We answer your questions so you feel informed. We'll give you a brief overview of the process so you know what to expect, but then we'll break that down into small, manageable steps so it's not overwhelming. And the way we approach things varies from person to person because we meet you where you're at. So some people come to us with a rough idea of a settlement because they've worked things out between themselves, awesome if you can do that. Other people have absolutely no idea where to start, and that is also completely okay. It just tells us where you're at and what we need to do and where we need to start. So if at any point you're feeling overwhelmed, please speak up. If at any point you feel like it's too much, tell your lawyer to slow down. Ask them to break it down even further. And if they don't, consider whether you need a new lawyer, but they can also be expensive to change lawyers. But just break that list down to yourself, for yourself. So I'm going to say this part really quickly, but so a lawyer is likely going to tell you that you need to bring in 100 points of ID, you need to bring in 3 years of bank statements, you need to bring in 3 months of pay slips, you need to bring in 3 years of super statements, your mortgage balances, your car loan details, your property valuations, and a pile of other stuff. And you're sitting there going, ugh, I did not hear any of that. So just break it down. So cool. All right. Step 1, I need to get my ID sorted. That's usually one of the first things that needs to be done. So, right, I've got my driver's license and passport. Go take that to the lawyer so they can take a copy of it and certify it. Right. So now I've got to start gathering my documents. So I'm going to go check with payroll to get my pay slips and go to the bank to request my bank statements. I'm going to work out what the debt is on our loans. I'm going to call my super fund just to make sure I can get the last 3 years of statements. Just really break it down into the smaller steps that you need to make it feel more manageable. And find a system that works for you. So I personally love a good checklist. So I still use a paper diary, use an electronic diary as well, but also paper. And the night before, I'll jot down my tasks, and I get really good satisfaction from physically ticking or crossing something off at the end of the day. But as I said, if electronic task lists or reminders or calendar alerts work for you, do that. I also do that. There's no right or way. It's just what's suitable for you. So if you start to feel overwhelmed, just stop, take a break. Take yourself out of the situation. If you need to, ask for help when you need it. And when you're ready, start again. Because sometimes if things start to feel too heavy or get overwhelmed and frustrated, sometimes you don't go ahead with anything and you're back to square one. Something simple that I have. So I have a scented hand cream on my desk. I usually swipe them from the motels that I stay at, so you don't have to go anything too crazy. But I make sure that it's scented. The one on my desk, at least, I make sure is scented. And if I'm feeling a little bit and I need a break, I pop some on my hands. I close my eyes, I breathe in the scent, and then I give myself a mini hand massage. So super simple, but it just calms me back down, resets me, and then I can go again. There are going to be very few true urgencies, and only in a few circumstances would you ever need to gather something urgently. And even then, you know, your safety concerns, I'm talking in a DV situation, your safety concerns are going to outweigh what legal documents your lawyer's asking for. So I just want you to take a big breath and just take it one step at a time. And if your lawyer is yelling at you, just tell them to buck the bus up, because this is your process and you deserve to go through it at your pace that works for you. So a little bit of light humour. I know I've thrown a fair bit at you and it is probably feeling a little bit heavy, so you can shuffle around in your chair if you like, just to release some tension that you might have. But please don't be this person. So, you know, it's the person who fires off an angry text or vents on social media, sends a heated email in the heat of the moment. I get it. It feels really good sometimes to write that, but it will go against you. So always try to aim to be the bigger and better person and do your best to not react purely on emotion, which I can appreciate is easier said than done. But if you don't, it could impact your property settlement. It can be used against you in legal proceedings. And worse yet, it can also affect court orders in relation to spending time with your kids. So before you hit the send on the text or the email, take a deep breath. If needed, type it out. Don't put the address of the person that you're sending it to, though, just in case you do hit send. But type it out, write it out, vent it, just get it out. Give yourself time to cool down. If you feel it needs to be sent, reread it and maybe change the tone if it's kind of attacking. So you have a clearer mind, or you can just delete it because that's all you needed to do. Sometimes the best move that you can make, though, is no move at all. So well done for sticking around. We're close to that hour mark, and we've covered a fair bit today, but I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge you for showing up and taking this step. As I said, 305 people have registered for this webinar. It was 224, I think, in December, and 174, I think, in November. So a lot of people are going through this. Just want to recap on what we've done. So we've talked about saving on legal fees by educating yourself through something like empowered separation and making sure that you choose the right legal team and support team. Feeling empowered and not defeated. So remember that separation is not a personal failure, and we discussed some strategies to help you shift your mindset. It does not define your worth or your identity. You are much more than this. So please just remember that. Choosing the right support will make a massive difference. It will help with costs from a legal perspective. It will reduce stress levels. It will probably make things go quicker for you if it's in that legal field. And overall, you'll have a sense of empowerment. Reducing that overwhelm, so just breaking something down into as small of a task as you need it to be. Whatever is manageable for you, just do it. And give yourself time and give yourself grace as well if it's all feeling a little bit too heavy. So this has only scratched the surface of what a separation could look like, but my program goes into all of this and heaps more. So again, I just want to congratulate you for taking that first step and for being here today. And no matter where you're at in your journey, you're taking the steps forward. And that's something to be really proud of. If you're not taking steps for another couple of months, you're just getting your ducks in a row, that is completely fine too. Don't think you need to rush off after the webinar and can your relationship. So you do that when you feel it's ready, if at all. So have a moment to work out where you're currently at in that process, which is pretty well just what I just said. So, but wherever you are, I really do hope I've been able to provide you with some useful information for you today. But you're probably feeling one of these three things: relieved that you're finally happy that someone gets it's not just about the legal work. It's someone who understands that you need both the legal expertise and the emotional support to navigate a separation. Overwhelmed, you know that you need holistic support, but where do you begin? How do you make the right decisions when you can barely process what's happening? You can be both. You're ready to move forward, but you're scared of making costly mistakes, both financially and emotionally. And I completely get it, and exactly why I'm here and why I created my program. So after years of practicing, it was just disturbing that usually the biggest mistakes people make isn't because of complex legal issues or anything like that. It's usually because they're forced to make critical life decisions at a time when they're most vulnerable, emotional, and overwhelmed without the right support or guidance. They're pushed into things just to get stuff done. So you can try option one here. You can try to navigate it alone. Hourly legal fees, mine's like $5.50 plus GST. There's going to be others out there, much more than that. And you can try and manage the emotional roller coaster by yourself. You can work with a traditional lawyer. Nothing wrong with that. They're probably great at the law, but they might not be able to support you through your emotional needs. Or you can join us in the Empowered Separation family, where you'll get clear legal guidance without confusing legal jargon, emotional support tools to help you process each step, a community of people who understand exactly what you are going through, and my proven framework for making confident decisions even during uncertainty. And you can move through this at your own pace, okay? Not the pace that your lawyer wants you to go at. You can think of me as your divorce or separation coach, if you like. I've been told that before, because I know that separation is hard, and I really don't think you should be doing it alone. And it's not just legal you need a complete support system that holds space for both legal and the emotional journey. And it's exactly why I've done what I've done, and it will only grow. There is so much more that's going to be added to the program to help you navigate with clarity and confidence and support. And I would love you to be a part of it so I can help you on the next stage of your journey. Again, I don't want to toot my own horn. Please don't do this alone. But really, without the support of something like my program, it's likely you're going to be paying more in legal fees because the lawyer's going to have to go through the whole process with you, whereas in the program, it's all there for you. So you're going in there armed with knowledge, and they're not going to be taking you for a ride because you're going to know what the process is. It could take longer to reach a resolution because you're really going back to the start. So it's having that initial meeting, and then it's gathering your documents and all of that stuff. And you'll probably be feeling overwhelmed because you're not going to have that clear roadmap or that emotional support that you need. And I don't say this just to try to sell you something. I say it because I've seen it happen way too many times, and it's exactly what I've done. It's so hard to do one-on-one. If I can do this one on many so I can help more people, whether you use my legal practice or not, that part I don't care about. It's just making sure I can reach as many people as possible. It's like, hey, here is the process. Take that information and do what you need to do with it. And if there is a way to save money and reduce stress and get through it with more clarity and confidence, to me, that's a no-brainer. I'd be taking it. So, where am I? Sorry, my computer's had a glitch in. Why shouldn't you be empowered in your separation? It's probably something that you don't think those two words even go together. I don't want you to feel stuck. I don't want you to feel like a victim unless you want to feel like a victim. I really don't think you are. Do you want to feel strong? Most of the time, as I said, there's going to be weak moments, and that's okay to have them. And I really want you to be in control so you have the right tools under your tool belt. And with that, I just want to finish off with a quick story about a client who came to us a few years ago. She had moved on to a new relationship. The past relationship was like years. It was like years and years and years down the track, but they were still married, didn't do anything about it. And it was very obvious that she had anger and resentment issues towards her ex. And at the same time, she wanted the matter to be over. So she was conflicted. She was stuck. And she was fighting over things that seemed really small to us, but to her, they were everything. And those two things, it was a bucket and a fairy floss machine. That's it. Wasn't money, wasn't the house, wasn't anything. It was a bucket and a fairy floss machine. And she wouldn't budge. And had she not made us bring them up with the other side, it would have resolved sooner because he didn't even know about them. And she would have saved a lot in legal costs as well, because there was a fair bit that went back and forth with this bucket and fairy floss machine. And her ex didn't even care. But as soon as she brought that up, he cared. And to us, it was like his last job, one last way just to push her buttons. And we had to work through this with her. And we had to acknowledge that these things meant something to her, and we had to help her process it. And then it just clicked for her. So she realized she didn't actually need them. She was holding on just to hurt him. And she was keeping herself stuck in a battle that she didn't even want. And in the end, she gave them to him, and he didn't even bother picking them up. So, but when she made that decision to let it go, the relief on her face was just a Kodak moment. And honestly, we were just all so happy for her, and we did have tears. So we are lawyers that cry. But she sent us a massive bunch of flowers at the end with a lovely thank you note. But the best thing for us was just that she closed that chapter, and she was happy, and she was relieved, and she was definitely empowered. Because that's what I'm about. I want to help you move forward stronger, lighter, and ready to take on what's next. So you've heard me ramble on about it. So my program is called Empowered Separation. And I am actually the lawyer who wants to save you money. Never became a lawyer. Actually, the story as to why I became a lawyer is something different, but I was never going to be that lawyer that milks people or was going to be that arsehole lawyer. People ask, I need a really, hard lawyer. I don't necessarily think that you need like a bulldog lawyer. Either way, I knew I just wasn't going to be one of those. And I didn't want to be a difficult lawyer either. It's not me. It doesn't sit with my values. And at the end of the day, I want you to have the money for your family, for your children. I don't want that sitting in my bank account. And that's, again, why I created this, so I can do more than the one-on-one. I can do with as many people as I possibly can within Australia. And I want your separation to be resolved as quickly as possible with the least amount of mental load. And I created Empowered Separation because I don't want you relying on the opinions of people in those mums and bubs, or those duds and bubs groups who might unintentionally scare the crap out of you and lead you to make a wrong decision or not make any decisions at all. I don't want you taking bad advice from someone who shouldn't be giving it in the first place. I don't want you to feel lost or overwhelmed because you don't know what you don't know. And the pathway is designed to save you time, money, and stress. It helps you step through at your own pace without feeling rushed or lost. It prepares you so that when you do see a lawyer, you are ready and you're going to spend less money and probably less time with them because you're going in armed, full of knowledge. It's also going to empower you to understand the process so you don't get taken for a ride by a lawyer who just sees you as another matter and, dollar signs, because it happens. The traditional law versus the holistic approach is very different. So if you're going to walk into a traditional law firm, they're probably not going to have your best interest at heart, or they will, but they're not going to be able to understand the emotional aspect that can go with it. We're just not taught that as lawyers. And as I said, it's still not even a thing. So you do your law school, you do your prac, and then that's it. So unless you develop other skills, we're pretty well going to be that traditional lawyer. And you're probably thinking there's only one way forward. You have to follow that rigid, standard, shitty legal process and that the lawyer holds the power. But it's not. There are amazing lawyers out there, and the holistic and collaborative family law is starting to gain traction in Australia. It's actually coming over from the United States, of all places. But there are more lawyers who are recognising that separation isn't just about paperwork, it's about people. And that's exactly why I'm here today, because I know that you deserve a process that is both empowering and it's not exhausting. So there's a fair bit put in the program. Essentially, I just want to break it down to it's me holding your hand. So think of me as a lawyer in your pocket or somebody that's guiding you through that process without that hefty price tag. And we're constantly adding more and more material to it because, let's face it, family law is heavy, expensive, overwhelming, and from a knowledge point of view is never ending. And some people have even told me that they're using this course to walk through with their ex. So they both save money, which I thought, that's amazing. So the reality check of those first few meetings is it's probably going to cost between $1,000 to $4,000. Many lawyers will ask you to dump a pile of money into their trust account up front, probably 10, 15, sometimes 20 grand. But my program will save you money because you're going to be educated, you're going to be prepared, and you're not going to be paying a lawyer just to explain things to you because you're already going to know it. So we have live coaching each month. We have sessions with me where we dive into deeper questions, answer questions, tackle challenges, whatever might be the flavour of the day. There is that private, safe community to share experiences and seek comfort and create connections, which is monitored by me and my team. First sign of, bad behaviour, and you're going to be gone. Not going to tolerate it. It hasn't happened, but there's going to be guest speakers and insights. So, anybody that I could possibly can think of that will be a great fit for the program, I'll make sure that we get them in. There's a pile of comprehensive tools and resources. There's around 15 to 20 hours so far. And if you're paying my hourly rate of $5.50, the content alone is over $6,000. So there are discounts in there. So I do offer the hypnotherapy sessions with me, and heaps of other things that will be coming. You've got free access to my mortgage broking team if you need to run numbers. Reach out to us if you want that. You get a clarity call with me. If I'm not available, it could be with one of my team members, but that is free. You'll get lifetime access, and you're going to get access to all the future updates for no additional cost. There will be lots of updates, I can tell you that. So at the moment, it's probably easily over $6,000, and it's just growing. And the best part is it will just keep growing, and I'm actually adding more lessons this afternoon. So there'll be more in there this afternoon as well, because when I'm adding more tools to my tool belt, I want to make sure that I can pass that on so you can navigate your journey with confidence, clarity, and make sure that you're also in control. And today for the webinar price, it's only $4.97. It's only available until the 7th of Feb, which I think is next Friday. After that, the price goes back up to $9.97, which is still a bargain. To be honest, given how much content we have now put in it, this is probably going to be the last time I have the fee this low. I'm going to keep it as low as possible, but I obviously have expenses on my end that I need to cover. But there is so much more that is already in there that's probably going to increase the fee by the next webinar next month. But it's still worth over $6,000 for $4.97 or $9.97 if you don't make the cutoff of 7th of Feb. So if you're waiting for the right time to get support, legal guidance, and a community that understand you, I'm it. And I want to make sure that you don't just survive your separation. I really want you to emerge from it stronger, wiser, and more empowered than ever, which is why I called it Empowered Separation. Nina's going to pop the link up for the program if you want to check it out. We also now have more payment options, which is pretty exciting. So you can also pay via Apple Pay, Google Pay, standard credit card, there's Afterpay, and there is Klarna as well. So you've got a few different options there, which is good. So as I said, I'm constantly adding more value and putting more tools in my tool belt so I can pass them on to you. The program really is a mix of making sure you're looked after mentally and emotionally, and making sure that you are looked after on the legal side as well. I think I've covered self-care a fair bit in the webinar today, but from a legal perspective, we're going to be able to teach you how to understand your balance sheet and get your balance sheet to a point that you can give that to your lawyer. We can roughly calculate the asset pool that you have. You might be able to work out a potential settlement so you can get an idea of what you might walk away with, or we might be able to use that to work out if you can afford to buy your ex out or buy a property or whatever it might be. And no, don't assume it's 50-50. That's a load of shit. Sometimes it is, but more often it's not. You're going to know what the law and the courts take into consideration for a settlement. So there's no surprises there, and we might be able to negotiate or agree to a settlement based on the knowledge that we provide. To make it clear, it is not legal advice in this program, just putting that out there. I guess I'm a lawyer, but not acting in my capacity as lawyer for this. The program is designed for you, and it will give you a simplified version of your family law matter, so you're not drowning in the legal jargon or feeling lost in the system, which is often the feedback. And you will feel empowered and equipped, I promise you, with the knowledge you need to make those critical decisions that you need to make. And it's just a great mix of the legal and the emotional support as well. What I'd really like to do is educate lawyers on how important it is to consider the mental health of their clients and not just the legal strategy. Because to me, it's not just about winning a case. To me, there is no winners. They're satisfied parties, but it's not like it's a win or lose situation. I think that's a bad way to look at it. But it's about helping people move forward in a way that feels right for them. Some testimonials. So this one was from Cole, very knowledgeable, experienced and dedicated team. Cannot recommend them more highly. Ali is one of my lawyers. She was so helpful and calming throughout my whole separation, made my stressful separation that little bit easier. Ali helped a long drawn out process that didn't need to come to an end with the result I was happy with. So if you are ready to have an empowered separation, hopefully Nina's put that link in the chat for you. It will be in the replay as well, but hopefully it's in the chat for you as well. So I was going to recap. I probably recapped enough, but I guess to put it short, it's clarity on whether your relationship is over, with tools to guide you on this process. It's not going to tell you to leave your partner. It's going to provide you with the tools to make that decision yourself. Guidance on the legal process. There's checklists, there's templates for key information to give to your lawyer. There's support. We get your disclosure documents sorted, guidance on what your balance sheet is looking at, so your asset and liabilities. You're going to know what's taken into account when making orders, because it's not that standard 50-50 that people think. You got that emotional support that's in there as well, and you got me as your support pit crew. So as I said, my hourly rate's $5.50. I know that there's rates that are higher than that, so straight away you're making a pretty good saving, in my opinion. So I'm only a little bit over an hour, which is good. So I might actually be getting through this a little bit quicker. I do talk fast as well, so I do apologise. You might want to slow the speed down if you're going to be watching it on the replay. But I put it out there that you can submit questions to me for me to try and answer. And that is why the webinar usually goes for longer than what it is, because I get inundated with questions, and some of them are too complicated to discuss in the webinar, but I can assure you that the easy ones that I can answer now, I will. For the more complicated ones, I do have your questions and I will address them. So they will be addressed in a weekly email. It might be my podcast. It might be socials. It will be something. So I can guarantee you that your question will be answered, because the ones that are coming in are not isolated. They're all very similar and people experiencing similar situations. But there are a couple that I can answer now. Right, where am I? Where are the questions? Right, so a common question we get asked is, if I take the course, do I still need a lawyer? So you can do the separation process yourself. The courts portal does have that information to act with no lawyer. Probably wouldn't recommend it, because I wouldn't want you walking away from a settlement when you could be entitled to more. So you can definitely do divorce. You could do straight with the court. I don't have an issue with that. That's quite straightforward. If you're married and you're going for that divorce, the actual property settlement aspect of it, I probably would suggest that you use a lawyer for that. If you and your ex are on good terms, though, you might better work out a settlement together. That's not foreign. That does happen. And then you could consult a lawyer to draft and review the agreement. They will send one of the parties away to go get advice on that to make sure that that's all okay. So that will save you a pile of time and money. If you're not on speaking terms, that might not work for you, but it is an option. And as I said, people are using the program to actually work with their ex to come up with a resolution. So not all settlements end, or not all relationships end badly. So that was good to know. How do I know whether to stay or go? I said before, I can't tell you what to do, but we do have this covered in the program, so you can make the decision that's right for you. What happens if I have international assets? Not a drama. Yes, they have to be taken into account. It's doable. Don't stress. It's fine. Do mediators really make a difference? Some do. As I said, not everybody's created equal. The right mediator can be game changing, and we work with a lot of great ones. So usually the other side have to agree to be working with the mediator that you suggest. There's kind of usually 3 options there, but yes, great mediator can make all the difference. I'm going to say, look, we have like a 99% success rate of settling at mediation. The only reason we're not 100 is because the lawyer on the other side was one of those, I'm going to go to court to be a pain in the ass because I can. And they did. So mediation was successful, but they're saying it wasn't. So that is the only reason we're not 100%. Otherwise, we have a very good track record at settling at mediation. If you're in a DV situation, your priority is safety and your children's safety if you have kids. So we do cover that. Don't worry about gathering documents or trying to sort things out with your ex or whatever. Your focus is on getting safe. So there are organisations, there's emergency accommodation, there's groceries and, essential belongings. You can go to the police as well. But yeah, DV situation, please look after yourself and your family. Don't go chasing documents. What am I entitled to in a separation? This is a big one where people think it's 50-50. Not necessarily, it's 50-50. We have to know what the assets are, what the debts are, what the super is. There's a pile of things, but that is all covered in the program as well. It helps you to break down how property settlements work, helps you understand the asset pool and what factors influence a fair decision, prepares you before you see a lawyer, so you're not paying hourly fees just to ask the basics. If you have a lawyer now, it's still relevant, so I don't think you can't not engage a lawyer already. It's still going to be valuable for you. Others don't when you're walking into a lawyer's office unprepared and spending thousands of dollars to get up to speed when you don't need to. So we'll end up in court. Most separations don't need to go through the court system. So long, expensive court battles are usually few and far between. They're usually the ones you hear about, though, because they're kind of like the most exciting to hear about. Most go settle outside of court. So each situation is also different, but majority don't go to court. And the program goes into your options. So you have mediation, again, like the consent orders, the negotiation, how to resolve things efficiently, gives you the confidence to have those discussions early before things can escalate. And I really do think that the more prepared you are, the more chance of success that you're going to have in your separation. So that's it from me. I'm just going to quickly check the chat. Let me go back. Oh, yeah, Greg. So I'm assuming you're probably now already left because you had to go to work. And now I'm assuming you're probably now watching the replay. So, that should all be covered for you, Greg. Reach out if you've missed something. Nina's put the link up there. So that is good. Yes, Greg, I'll email everything through. Again, he's probably already left, so sorry if you have. But yeah, as I said, it is being recorded, and you will be sent the replay once we get that sorted this afternoon. But thank you for joining me today. I'm proud of myself. That was an hour 20, which I've shaved about half hour off, which is good. So I know it's a super heavy subject, and I do try and make it less, I don't know what the word is, just, I know it's heavy, and, I do have a personality. I'm usually pretty happy and bubbly, so I try and make it a little less serious. I really do hope that even if you don't join the program, I really do hope that I have provided you with information that you can take away today and use. So the program is going to be there. for when you're ready. But yeah, the webinar price is only till the 7th. And as I said, we are adding a pile of extra stuff this afternoon. So I probably will need to increase the price so I can keep providing the course, but there will be a cap on how much I can charge for it because I don't want to make it unaffordable for people. But yeah, there's definitely a lot more that we've added to it. So we need to recoup some of that. But thank you very much. Please reach out to me. You've all got my email because you've been receiving my emails all week, hopefully. If you need to clarify anything post-webinar, I'm more than happy for you to do that. Otherwise, please enjoy the rest of your afternoon and have a wonderful weekend, and I will catch you guys next time.